If you're serious about history and survival knowledge, subscribe to this channel right now, because what you're about to hear is not common campfire advice. It's hard-earned wartime practice pulled straight from World War II field manuals and frontline experience. Today, we're breaking down why World War II soldier fires stayed alive for days under brutal conditions, while most modern fires barely survive a single night. And more importantly, how you can apply these same principles right now. During World War II, a fire was not a comfort item. For soldiers in the British Army, the German Wehrmacht, and Allied units across Europe and the Pacific, fire was heat, food, morale, sterilization, and sometimes survival itself. Fires had to work in rain, snow, mud and wind, often under blackout conditions and enemy observation. That reality forced soldiers to treat fire as a system, not a spark. Modern campers often focus on ignition. World War II doctrine focused on sustainability. Field manuals emphasized fire planning before a single match was struck. Soldiers studied ground moisture, prevailing wind, fuel availability and soil type. A fire that lasts days begins long before the flame exists. A World War II soldier never relied on random sticks grabbed in the dark. Fuel was processed deliberately. Firewood was graded by thickness and dryness, even in forests soaked by rain. Soldiers split damp logs to expose dry inner wood, a practice still ignored by most people today. Inner heartwood burns longer and hotter because it contains less surface moisture. They also stockpiled fuel before lighting the fire. A common doctrine was gathering enough wood for an entire night before ignition. That prevented frantic scavenging after dark and kept the fire from collapsing due to fuel gaps. You know, during the Second World War, fires were rarely built out in the open ground. Soldiers would use the terrain itself as insulation, which was rather clever. Fires were often sunk into shallow pits, backed against earthen banks, or sometimes built between logs and stones, all to reflect heat inward. The earth, well, it absorbs and radiates heat quite slowly, so that actually extends the burn time and reduces how much fuel you need to keep the fire going. Most modern fires honestly fail because they either breathe too much or, on the other hand, not nearly enough. Now, WWII soldiers, they controlled airflow very deliberately. Instead of letting oxygen pour in from all sides, they used narrow air channels, not those wide-open exposures you sometimes see nowadays. A fire that roars, you see, burns itself out quickly. But a fire that breathes slowly, well, that one lasts. One of the least understood lessons from those WWII fires is that, well, flames are temporary, but coals are true power. Soldiers weren't aiming for tall, dramatic flames. They wanted to build deep coal beds. Hardwood fuel, after it burned down, produced these dense embers that could radiate heat for hours on end, all without any visible flame at all. You know, a common modern mistake is abandoning a fire once cooking is done. Back in the Second World War, soldiers rotated firewatch even in rear areas. Fires were adjusted, not just left unattended. Logs were repositioned, ash was cleared to prevent smothering, and embers were covered lightly with ash overnight to retain heat. You likely have better matches, lighters, and accelerants than Second World War soldiers ever dreamed of. Yet those tools don't compensate for poor fire structure. Second World War soldiers succeeded because they respected physics, not convenience. They worked with moisture, wind, and heat transfer instead of fighting them. Survival manuals from the era repeatedly stressed patience. Fires were built slowly, fed deliberately, and maintained consistently. Modern fires fail because they're rushed. Slow fires last. Fast fires die. Whether you're camping, preparing for emergencies, or studying historical survival systems, Second World War firecraft remains relevant because the environment hasn't changed. Wood still burns the same way. Wind still steals heat. Moisture still kills flame. Applying these lessons means your fire becomes reliable, predictable, and efficient. If this breakdown gave you new insight into wartime survival skills and how to apply them today, subscribe to this channel and share this video with someone who still thinks fire is just about sparks. This channel exists to preserve real historical knowledge, and every share keeps that legacy alive.